should see us in a second coming live.
I love that music. That was a good beat for us, don't y'all think?
Yeah.
That was a good beat. It was kind of like beating ourselves into 2023 and you're about to make some things happen. Welcome to my guests, everyone here, everyone listening. Welcome, please, to Smart Money News and Business Reviews. We are going to make sure that we're going to give you all that we can in 2023 for sure in helping you to understand why we love financial literacy, financial education, and making sure that we are passing on with some of our experts here and others that will come on how we can help you to make things happen for you in 2023. So my name is Valencia Broadus. I'm a real estate attorney here in the area, and I've got some great guests here with me, and we have a gentleman on the phone. Some of our experts are going to just tell you a little bit more of why are we even doing this? I mean, how do we even come together to think we can help kind of flood our community with financial education and awareness and tips on making things greater? So let me see. Ladies first. So we have with us my real estate agent and a good friend, Miss Bree Logan, and I'll tell you a little bit, after you introduce herself, tell a little bit more about what she's going to be helping us do this year.
Well, as she did share, thank you so much for having me. As she did share, my name is Bree Logan. I am a realtor with Remax Elite Realtors, licensed in both Kansas and Missouri. Should I answer the question now?
Okay. And so, yes, I mean, what makes you be passionate about, like, financial literacy or money? It's about smart money, right? So why are you passionate about money?
Well, absolutely. When it comes down to my community, I always kind of boil it down to whenever I see those families that never thought that home ownership would be something in their future. And when I'm sitting at the closing table and I see the smiles on their faces after they sign the many documents necessary, they have a key and they have their own property and they own something that's just built for them. So any way that I can help realize that dream for folks is absolutely something that feeds my soul.
It feeds her soul. Okay. Excellent. Welcome, Miss Bree, and thank you. And one of the things Miss Bree's going to be doing with us, we'll tell you a little bit more about our Fun Fridays, so you can kind of do things with us on Fridays. Talk about that in a little bit. She did a great segue talking about documents and contracts for all of her people buying residential and some commercial,
Yes, ma'am.
properties. We have with us on this side of us, Mr. Alfred Jordan, good friend of mine, fellow attorney, and tell us first, introduce yourself, all the good stuff too. Most people don't know all that high level stuff you do. She didn't know. So she's like,
all right. Hello, my name is Alfred Jordan. I'm the owner of Jordan Law, LLC. I'm a business attorney, and so the things that I do from that perspective is helping people to form entities, doing mergers and acquisitions, so people buying and selling businesses. I do a little bit of real estate transactions and a little bit of financing for my clients because those are some of the needs that come up, and basically any kind of commercial contract also. So that's me in a nutshell as far as work.
So I was telling Miss Bree and Miss Dara. Miss Dara is our operations person who helps us put all this together, so shout out to her and others as well. We were talking about 1031 exchanges and mergers, and we're talking about all this stuff. And they said, well, Miss Valencia, do you do that? I said, well, I haven't done that in a very long time, since I was with a big firm years ago. I said, however, Mr. Alfred Jordan, he might know us about that. And she says, what? I didn't know that people do all these different things. And so for you listening to us, as you can see, just starting out, with our conversation today, Miss Bree and definitely Mr. Alfred, we're going to do all we can to make sure that we're able to answer the questions you have regarding, whether it's real estate, legal type of issues that pertain especially to owning a profitable business. I do real estate, but I do lots of estate planning and probate. So I'll handle a lot of those types of questions. We'll talk about insurance, we'll talk about credit for sure, and savings so you can get a house or buy your business. We'll talk about these 6 transactions that if we all just kind of do what we can to make things happen in our life, just these 6 things, and we'll get deeper into those in other segments, but we're going to just touch on that a little bit today. So, Mr. Alfred, why do you care about financial literacy?
Okay, I'll start out with a story. Back when I used to work at Sprint, I was riding in a car with my boss and a couple of other people, and they started talking about the Bulls and the Bears, and I'm sitting there while they having this conversation about do you prefer a technical analysis or fundamental analysis? And I didn't even know what the Bulls and the Bears were at all, and so I was just kind of stayed quiet. Right, exactly. I should have probably asked the question, but I came to know a little bit more about that kind of stuff. But at that time, I was 28 years old, so I was behind. And then fast forward, I don't want to steal any thunder.
Go ahead.
I don't know who exactly came up with the idea for the Financial Jeopardy competition, but I know Valencia and Mr. Brian on the phone were a big part of it. But my son was a part of that, and what we had to do in this Jeopardy competition about financial literacy was take the packet that Brian gave us, and it went over some of those different topics that Valencia was just talking about, and sit around the table. We sat around the table with my mom and her husband, my son and me, and we were his team. And it was a beautiful thing. I didn't really know how it would go, but they were learning, I was learning, he was learning, everybody was learning about ways to make ourselves more financially aware and get on the path to financial freedom. But between when I didn't know anything and when I knew something and was able to talk about some things with my son, that makes you want to pass it down so that they are not in that position, right? So that from an early age, they can start saving, investing, and be on the path to financial freedom.
Absolutely. And you all, that financial jeopardy that Mr. Alfred was speaking about was back in 2019 when we started. And so I know we've been doing, and we'll talk about this for 3 years, but when I went back to a lot of my notes today, getting ready, sending left a lot to Miss Dara, our operations person, and y'all going to meet her someday soon because she's amazing and helping us to make all this happen. But I was like, so when did we really start? We knew we had the competition January, 2021. And so 3 years, January, 2023. But we started probably, we knew our college students would be home during the winter, spring break. So I believe it was probably October, August, September. We just kind of started planning it. So we've been doing it even longer than I thought, when I did that. And so good segue into, we have on the phone with us Mr. Brian Ross. And Brian, I just want to first just say, thank you to him, because it's by partnering with myself and just some other people in my idea of doing a financial jeopardy for high school students, just so that, just like myself, I didn't know about financial literacy or managing money. And, we're middle income earners. We earn money, but sometimes we don't know what to do with it. So somehow we end up broke or not great credit or not being able to buy what we want, even though we're making the money. Well, I learned a lot during this 3.5 years of deep financial education that we've been doing for and with each other. And so Mr. Brian Ross, through his agency, and he'll talk about that in just a moment. I want to say exactly all of who he is. He really helped us to have the real deep information to educate ourselves. So with that, Mr. Brian Ross, talk to us. How are you today?
I am good. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit more about you, whatever you like, to share so that people know just who you are, especially if they're going to be needing to talk with you later on about information, offline.
Yeah, you're good. Thank you. So, as Valencia mentioned, I'm Brian Ross. I'm a financial advisor with Edward Jones. Been an advisor now for about 5 years, and my office is in Lee Summit, Missouri, where I recently moved my office for the last 2 or 3 weeks. As a financial advisor, really my ultimate goal is to take those who are saving, moving those from savers to investors, really letting them know why you should invest. Because what I've learned, especially when I was working in the banking realm, is that people do save, but sometimes that shift or that transition to investing is a little bit more of a difficult task. So my ultimate goal is to build confidence and build some resilience when it comes to investing because there are some ups and downs that go along with the market, but just making sure that we talk that through and really help you reach your financial goals.
Is that bull and bear stuff Mr. Alfred was talking about? The ups and
Yeah,
downs?
yeah. So at first I
Absolutely.
thought he was talking about birds and bees, and I'm like, no, he's talking about bears. Okay, I got you. But yeah, the bears and the bull. As far as the different stock market directions that it can go, and so for those who are listening, a bear market is typically considered if you have a 20% more of a drop in the stock market. So for those of you who looked at your 401ks or IRAs this year, we were in a bear market. That's what you would have seen. So just kind of give a little definition for that the bull and bear, and then the bull, of course, when the market is up.
No, that's great. No, thank you. And again, because you did help, we would have the idea for our students. We're always, developing our students to be the best they can be through our career club. And so I know we started saying, okay, we need to do something to spread the knowledge that we found that you have, and Mr. Versey and some others, and y'all will hear about Mr. Versey Lark, as well, as we do things in the book that kind of got us started there too. And but once we started getting the education, and as Mr. Alfred described, being with his son, being one of the four individuals that had to help his son to study for the financial jeopardy so he could win some money, and that was pretty fun. But as we did, the way that we designed that project was so that every high school student, they basically had to pick four people to study with them, and two of them had to be like family members. Others could be a best friend or whatever. We're just trying to find a cool way to make them learn more and make it fun because they're going to go off to college and get credit cards thrown at them and all sorts of stuff. So kind of do that. So as Mr. Ross then through Edward Jones, he was able to through his company to share with us what they use anyway to educate their individuals, and then I became a client, others became a client. We're like, this is good stuff. The Jeopardy, it was over, it was great, it's cool, and we kept going. And here we are 3 years later, and that's the reason it's exciting. And Mr. Ross, I mean, you have to give us your time because we didn't pay you to do all this for 3 years. So please, tell us why do you care about financial literacy? Why is it so important to you to share this with everybody?
Yeah, I appreciate that, and this is one that's close to my heart as far as being able to be part of this. So I never look at this as being work or giving up anything as far as what we've been building, what we continue on building, hopefully for years and decades to come. But really, I just got to say that this is really full circle for me. I feel like as I have this conversation with everybody, because really what got me excited about, or just my initial kind of tipped my toe in the water on this topic was me and my mom, we used to watch Susie Orman on CNBC. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Susie Orman
Yep.
back in the day, but she's kind of an alternative to Dave Ramsey. But we used to watch her on TV when I was 17, 18. And, there used to be a different topics. They talked about annuities. They talked about investments. They talked about, there was a section that said, can you buy it? Can I afford it? Can I not afford it? We should just sit there and talk about it. So that was really my toe getting tipped in was because of my mom's interest in the topic. And then it moved on to me actually working as a teller at the bank. And I think that, to me, I told people that's probably one of the best jobs I can have out of college is just I surrounded myself with people. I mean, all my friends were bankers. I knew financial advisors. I knew different people in the realm. And so it wasn't uncommon for me to talk about credit scores. It wasn't uncommon for me to talk about car loans. It's just the financial topic. And so to me, it was just normal talk and normal discussion to have. And I just thought it was normal anywhere I went. But it wasn't until I really got older I realized that, this isn't a common vernacular that a lot of people have as this topic and talk about savings and goals and all that. So the more I got into it and learned more about it for myself, and I think I've shared with people here on the panel here is that when my father had his stroke about 6 or 7 years ago, I realized there was still more for me to learn and more for me to help. So I made that shift to become a financial advisor, and I've loved it ever since.
No, excellent. Thank you. And has shared that knowledge, and I just can only say with myself, you know, as I've always been a saver because my dad always saved. He always had, all those jars of money, and then he would often have, he would let us know you always have to have a certain amount of money just saved up. So I always was a saver, but I never invested because I never knew about it. And even though making, good income or whatever, I just spend money, I save it, and then see something, you buy it, you spend it. And so upon my meeting Mr. Ross, I learned about investing. I learned that it doesn't take $3,000-4,000 to start. I definitely didn't know that. So that's why a lot of people, we don't, because we don't know it doesn't really take that much. I didn't know any of that. I thought it was only for the big people making hundreds of thousands and all that. And so I wasn't there yet. But so once I started understanding about how to invest, the different things I could invest in, I didn't have to buy the Google stock or I just learned so much, so I started investing. So as I started investing, then different things came up in my life. For example, I had a car issue, I had a health issue, I had different things that happened, but because I had invested in a way, not just a savings account, so I was really getting, some return, things were happening and building it, and then when these things happened in my life, that happened to all of us often, whatever it could be, it costs money. I didn't go broke or anything. I had the money sitting there to do it, and I kept on moving. Didn't cry or frown or nothing because I was okay. I was financially stable. Go figure. And I didn't even understand all that. Sometimes you get used to kind of just living on the grid, so to speak, and paycheck to paycheck, even good paychecks.
Yes, ma'am.
But sometimes, we anyway.
Right.
So, you know what I mean?
Now,
So
I'll add
thankful.
real
Go
quick,
ahead.
Valencia. I was going to say, and I do apologize. I was just
Go
going to
ahead.
say, as you said that, the piggyback is, and I think we'll get to this topic at some point, but the thing I've been thinking about personally over the last 2 or 3 years is that wealth gap that we talk about in the United States. A lot of that has to do with real estate. A lot of that has to do with financial such as investing, but also goes into the topic that you and Alfred talk about, which is the estate planning as well. So I just want to think about that as we, continue to have these kind of conversations. Is what can we do as individuals to make sure that we do our part as workers or as investors or just individuals to help kind of bring that wealth gap down, because those are the topics that we're looking at and talking about to really move that needle over the next few years and decades.
No, thank you. Good segue because I do want to, we'll dive back in a little bit to those 6 transactions I talked about. As we all know, I guess last year, that would have been last. Yep, last year, Juneteenth really became a federal holiday, right?
Right.
And so we're liberated some more as a people of color, but just people and people support us as well who may not be of color. So Juneteenth is a holiday. So the largest black bank in the United States, One United Bank, they started this campaign heavier. I think they were already doing it, but with the happening of Juneteenth becoming a federal holiday, they launched this one transaction campaign. And so that they did a lot of education on their website. And just so I'll make sure I'll tell you that what we're going to be doing is, as we give you different information about whether it's a bank or a book or, a realtor or a lawyer, we'll begin to put their information on our YouTube space so that as you can go out after the show, you'll be able to find that information if you need, to tap some of those resources. So United Bank is one. They have a podcast on financial literacy, all sorts of great stuff. But what they said is this: if each of us could do one transaction during every year, just one transaction, that it's going to close the racial wealth gap, tighter and tighter as we do these things. And those things are, first, owning a home. Because again, we think about owning a home, then that's how people can have an asset to do things with. And we'll come back to you talk about that because you're doing so I want to talk a little more. And then one of the other things is, of course, savings and investing. The more that we can save, like I had that challenge, then if something comes up, then I don't go broke or, have to rob Peter to pay Paul just to pay the bill. So savings and investing. Third piece was credit, evaluating your credit score. Because before you can buy a house, you have to get that credit good. In order to get good interest rates on, cars, I'm buying furniture at Bob's. I got this new apartment. It's really cool. And I bought this furniture at Bob's. I got a good interest rate because my credit went up because I worked on my credit. Insurance, whether you're trying to do a house to do the insurance piece or life insurance, you guys. Health insurance, you guys. Health insurance. Those are sometimes things that happen where we don't have insurance for. We could just be in a car accident. Sometimes, the law only makes you have liability. By law, and if you don't have it, you get a ticket and all that. So sometimes we have a car, we just don't have liability insurance. We wreck our car because we don't have, some full coverage. The people if it was your fault, the people you hit, they're covered. Now you're out of a car. So I know it's extra money, but if we can find the dollars to make sure that we're just covered, it'll help. And then, of course, owning a profitable business. And so Mr. Alfred, and other attorneys and business people too, but that's a big deal because owning a profitable business not only means you're making your own income, but having proper people for accounting and all of that. Make sure your bail, you have your banking, you have your accountant, insurance, and a lawyer to help you do that. And Mr. Alfred has helped several of our people to not only kind of have their business and do legal work, but to buy, a franchise, someone that was in our circle. And you'll meet these people, all along the way as well, that they'll have success stories. And then, of course, the last piece is that estate planning. So often we go through life and, if we have insurance, that's good. But if we don't have a will, let's say that you do these 6 transactions, you have all these things, you have houses, you have a business, you have everything. You all know about Aretha Franklin and some others. And is that a note for me to take a break? Not sure. No, it's not me.
It was me.
That happened.
That was
That's
me,
fun.
everyone.
But that was good. I'm like, see, that's a good tone for us to make sure that we definitely. I'm going to take a break right there to let Mr. George Walker be sure he tells you about KUAW Radio. So, Mr. Walker, please tell people about KUAW and where they can find us.
All right. I'd like to let everybody know that you're listening. I'm a little hoarse tonight, excuse me, but you're listening to KUAW Radio, Kansas City's global community radio station. And you can pick us up live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. You can also listen to us on your Google Smart Speaker, your Amazon speaker. Just tell it to play KUAW. You can pick us up online on Get Me Radio, on MyTuner.com, online radio box, and the TuneIn app. So just go to Google, search KUAW, and you'll be sure to pick us up. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. And you guys, and if you will, please, when you go on, and as we're sending you the link, we want you to please subscribe. The only way that everybody knows, that we're here, that we're sharing the information, and that we can keep this show alive, and others too, if you like it, is if we subscribe. And so I know that our marketing person, Miss Heaven, she has sent out, an email to those of you who are listening, and others too, just kind of KUAW listeners and fans already. But subscribe. The radio station needs that. That's how, they let the world know that it's a real deal and get followers, and that's where the funding comes in. Because this is community radio. Being able, it's how do we got to be able to talk to ourselves, educate ourselves, make it happen. So, with that in mind, I'm going to go back to Jeopardy for a minute. So, one of the things that we are going to do, not today, but one of the things that we're going to do, thanks to, there's a young lady named Miss Jamanda. And Miss Jamanda, she's another business owner and a student who's been with us for this 3 years, kind of on our, we were used to do these Zooms every Saturday where we would just sit and talk about the issues and different people. They bought houses, they, built their businesses, they got certifications. There's so many things happened. And so Miss Jamanda, she's a business owner, and we were talking about doing the radio show and doing Financial Jeopardy questions where you can win prizes and money. And if you all think that's a good idea, then you have to somehow go into the chat or let us know if you think that's a good idea. So she and I talked about it, and we were going to do it for high school students. So, we'll do a question, of course, every Monday, and, a high school student and their family can win the money. Now, you have to be able to prove you're a high schooler, because I'm going to come visit you. So just so you'll know, at some point we'll come visit you, or you'll come here on a Monday and talk to us. But she said, what about elementary school kids? What if, we got younger kids and their families want to participate? I said, yep. And I said, what about middle school? She said, yep. So what we're going to do on Mondays, and starting next Monday, we will have 3 questions. One of the questions will be, but they'll all be financial literacy related. And we're going to be using, again, with Brian Ross, guiding us and talking with us, information that families that, Edward Jones talks with, that the education that they use. So we'll still pull the data from there. So we'll do 3 questions, one that will be on the level that a middle school family, and especially the middle schooler, might be able to, assist with. For elementary and for high school. And how we get the information, you ask? Well, there's the data's there, and so we'll end up putting that again on our YouTube page. And Miss Heaven will be, getting with everybody after this, as you please answer our survey to let us know, first of all, are things great? Do we need to wear different clothes? Are the colors cool? Whatever you tell us, we're okay with it. This is your show. We're here to educate you. But we also want to know, what types of topics do you really want to know around those 6 transactions especially? And there could be just other questions that you want to know, financially related or business related, because we want to bring the answers. We want to know what you want to know so that we can answer you, and the experts in our fields. I don't know everything, they don't know everything, but I know a lot in my field that I can help with. Mr. Ross knows a lot in his field he can help with. Mr. Alfred knows a lot in his field. I know I'm repeating myself. And Ms. Bree knows a lot. We have other experts as well that will come, and a lot of it will come from the questions that, they ask us, because this is about you. So we'll do that. We'll have these questions. We'll want people to answer us live. So for one set, you'll have to be present to win. I'm just going to let you know that Miss Dara, she is amazing, and I talk about her a lot. She's convinced me that, because she and Mr. Walker shared that sometimes people may not be listening live. So what if they still want to do the Jeopardy, but they're not listening live? They might pick up the YouTube or the other places, I'm not a social media guru, or the other places on social media where we are, and they might have the answers, and they want to give the answers. So there will also be a social media non-live way to win, and Miss Heaven and I will be telling you that via email, because they convinced me. So that sounds good to me. I like to definitely give money, gift cards, places to some of where you can go buy some of the favorite stuff you like, because it's about financial literacy and saving. So those will be some of the prizes. And of course, coming to hang out with us and doing stuff. So I just want to make sure I mention that piece. So we have Restaurant Week coming up. And I think about small businesses, and during the pandemic, I think all over the country, all over the world probably, small businesses that lost the most at first were the restaurants until they reinvented themselves, business creativity. And so with Restaurant Week coming up, we're going to be able to start our Fun Fridays with Miss Bree and Miss Denaya. And tell us the Fun Fridays, like, what are we going to be doing? Just talk to us.
Yes, ma'am. So Fun Fridays is just a great way for us to try to include community in experiencing things through financial wealth and education and everything. So to make it fun, we go to different restaurants to support local businesses. Eventually, we'll branch off into like different shops. I don't know. You want to talk about? We just did a little something.
Yup. Savers and soup. Yeah, go ahead, talk about it.
So we were able to have a little get together at Savers, where we actually really had great conversations with a couple.
What
of
is
patrons.
Savers? Y'all know what Savers is?
The place where you get clothes, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I know it.
Quality secondhand clothes. That's all I'm saying. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, yeah. Look, I go to Savers, so I absolutely love the clothes
Yes,
there
yes.
and how they have everything organized and such. But we had a really great conversation with just even some of the patrons in there, and kind of seeing like the mad dash of everyone going there to ultimately get something that's quality clothing for whatever they need it for, or houseware stuff. But then also just having that community in there, everyone having great conversation and listening to what we were talking about, which was, ultimately ideas about this show.
And they kept saying, "We're listening to y'all. That sounds good." And we were buying clothes, like she was helping me to think about. Because again, I like radio. I like thrift stores. I'm not a real shopper. And so, since my daughter wasn't here, I was like, "Who's going to help me to do this?" She's like, be on this camera with the show. And so we had fun shopping.
Yeah, it was
Savers.
a great time. But Miss V is absolutely a shopper. I'm sorry. Just had to put that out there. She is a shopper. Because we were getting all the deals and all the outfits put together
I'm a
right
thrift
there
shopper?
in Outways. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm gonna take that. See, saving. So, and now, Mr. Alfred, you said you know Savers.
Yeah.
What you know about Savers?
Well, actually, I know it from when I was associated with Big Brothers Big Sisters. We donate the clothes to Savers, and Savers pays them a per pound amount for the clothes, and so it's actually a money generator for
Fundraising.
Big. So y'all were also helping like Big Brothers Big Sisters while I was out there shopping, right?
Yes. So you were Boy Scouts.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I was part of.
Okay,
Boy
I'm
Scouts
sorry.
for
That's
quite
the
some
reason.
time.
Yes, because Big Brother Big Sisters, and she helped with Boy Scouts, and so all the giving back piece is great as well. Being able to help our communities when we can. And this is so random, but I just thought about it. So I'm gonna share the thought. I've noticed over the past 10 years, especially, and that's another reason to talk about another day. But over the past 10 years, as people want to volunteer or give their time, talent, and treasures to causes that matter, sometimes it's hard to do that when we're barely making it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that that just hit me as we were just speaking about that, because sometimes we want to give more of ourselves, but if we're working a lot or 2 jobs or just not really having the time to get out, to help. And for me, my getting more financially stable, so I have to keep working we used to do go to the juvenile justice place and do career kitchen and cooking with kids and all that type of stuff, and it was good. And so when we're helping, we give our time, talent, and our treasure. And sometimes, those of us who really we care about our communities, because we really do. And so sometimes we don't see each other out there doing a ton. And I'm convinced, I know from my heart, not because we don't care, sometimes because we don't have time. And sometimes we may not have the gas to get out there, or the clothes we think we need to wear to go help. I mean, it's really interesting, when you would hear people, well, I don't want to go because, or whatever's happening. But we'll do more the more that we are financially and mentally healthy, just because we feel better. Being struggling financially can also be depressing. It can make it so that you're not as happy or chipper, and bring that up because we here and there we'll talk about just mental health issues that happen with people not being where they want to be financially. Sometimes you are where you want to be, but because of not having, insurance or other things, sometimes you can drop because of not having things in place. So our discussions will go many, many ways, but definitely there's a lot to talk about. So, Mr. Ross, I know you're still there, and I want to ask you a little bit about, as people are thinking about in 2023, I want to maybe, if I'm a listener like I did, a couple years ago, I want to invest some more, or I want to start investing because I wasn't even investing. I was just saving. I want to invest. I want to learn how to do it. Is it tough to, depending on our age, I know, to become a millionaire? We want to make more millionaires. We want to make it rain all around this place. Anybody listening, how do we help people from an investment point to get started on making it pour in their life? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I will say, and I'll take a step back here. The thing I always tell people, at least initially, is just to figure out where your money's going. Is the first step, because I know there's the $1 million point is always kind of a destination. I know there's songs about it. I want to be a millionaire. So, I think that was a billionaire. That's not what a billionaire. Actually, that's a little more about that. But there's songs about it and all that. But what I tell people, the very first step is just really figuring out where your money's going. And that way you can kind of figure out, okay, where am I spending? How can I save? Because if you can't get that under control, then it's hard to maneuver for the next steps. I know when I was young, my mom said it doesn't really matter how much money you make; it's about how you manage it. It's a big piece of all this. So,
Yes.
Especially as you start out 2023 here, I just take a look at what your budget's been. Take a look at where your expenses are. One thing that we're doing that we typically do as a family at least once a year is take a look at some of those reoccurring debits that are coming out of your account, right? If it's for me, for example, if it's Audible, I got YouTube Music that I need to cancel. There's things like that that kind of take some of those budget leaks out as one initial step. And then once you figure out what that's going to look like, then make sure you have at least a savings set up, because the ultimate goal is that when you're investing is going to be a 3 to 5 year type of commitment. And so we want to make sure that as you're putting money away, that this is money that's going to be used 3 or 5 years down the road or more. But you have that savings account set up initially, because if you have car issues or you have a house issue, or just maybe you get behind on something, that way you can pull from your savings account and not have to pull from your investment. But then when you're ready to invest, conversation with a financial advisor, or tell people you can keep it very simple. The S&P 500, there's different ways you can do that through either Vanguard or with their S&P 500. BlackRock has the S&P 500 investment. You put money in, invest in 500 of the top companies. You're automatically diversified in the large cap area, but it's just simple, easy, and a lot of times it's only $50 or $100 to get yourself started. So don't overcomplicate it. Like I said, S&P 500 is a nice way to get started. And then if you're looking for more either fundamental or technical analysis about what to do, then that's when you can for sure reach out to a financial advisor.
And can they reach out to you?
Yeah, more than happy to. So more than happy to have a conversation. I will go through, as I talked about, what I look at kind of order of operation, making sure that you're ready to invest. Because a lot of people you're excited about investing and you want to get invested, but sometimes that foundation's got to be there before we can kind of start building the structure around it. And so making sure that when we get there, we have a good idea about what the budget's going to look like, how much can I invest. More than happy to have that dialogue about which direction to go and which direction not to go in some aspects as well.
I keep hearing this statistic that, and I don't know the number of households, but it's like a significant number don't, even have $400 for a particular emergency. And, like Brian said, you need to look at what's going out first, because it's hard when you don't know what's going out. But the thing I would say, and tack on to what Brian said, he did an excellent job of doing, is to automate. I mean, for the saving and the investing, just make it come out automatically, especially if you are doing 401k and you got free match money from your job and that kind of stuff. just do it automatically, especially if it's those pre-tax dollars. You won't even miss it.
Yes.
And I have, not done like I was supposed to do, and that's why I'm so, excited to tell everybody, like, please,
because it works.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. And I do it now, and I still
yes.
don't even miss it, and it's after-tax dollars, but and I'm gonna start putting more in, but it's do not wait for yourself to do it, because it might be 6 months later, and we'll talk about time value of money and all that stuff. But the early, saving is like when I'm on my computer and I don't want to lose that report, save early, save often. It's the same way with finances.
Yes.
Save early and save often and automate.
Yes, and make it happen. One of the things that I was thinking, as well as Mr. Ross was talking, is when he said to the budget, but he said to find out where your money's going. And what I found this year with my reoccurring expenses is, she's laughing already, I have a whole lot of stuff. And I'm like, now why am I doing that again? So I know that I've already saved about $270 a month just on stuff. Because, people send you stuff. And what happens is, they'll say, hey, it's a free trial.
Mm-hmm.
It's a free trial. And you're like, that's great. And they know you're going to forget. It's a free trial. And so if you don't end it in 30 days, but normally it has to be 29 days, just want to tell you, because you started, then it just keeps going. And then you have to do this other stuff to solicit. So I have some of those on there. That's the reason I know. Because I'm like, I forgot to do that. So look for those. Also, one of the things that I did when I moved this year is I went to Bob's Furniture. I'm giving them a plug, I guess. Went to Bob's Furniture and got some furniture, and they gave me credit and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. They gave me credit. It was great. And if I paid it off in, I think it was 4 months, 120 days. Yep. If I paid off in 120 days, then basically it was like very, very little interest. Mm-hmm. But if you miss paying it off in that fourth month, then you're basically paying 3 times. And so I had to keep up with that, though.
Right.
Because what they do is they make it so that, and again, hey, I love my furniture from Bob's. But I've noticed other people are doing it too. That's why I'm mentioning it, because I did it with my phone when I had to go get a new phone. But they do these plans where they'll give you the credit, and but if you pay it off in 90 days, you'll get the price they told you. Mm-hmm. But if not, it's 3 times.
I bet it's real quiet up until that 90 days. You probably don't hear anything, do you?
Zero.
Not a thing.
Because if you forget, that's how they make money. It's business. It's part of their business model.
Right.
So we can't be mad at them.
Nope.
But we've got to be diligent and get what you can get, because my credit let me get the stuff. That's cool. But then I could lose, all the money that technically my credit helped me to save by not paying attention to stuff like that.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't even know that happened until Bob's. I was like, what? But anyway, we paid it off. Me and my daughter, we were like, they're not getting all that money. So it's just like, no. But I had savings. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes it's having the extra. You don't have to spend it right away, but putting it away so that you can, you can kind of pull from it. Which is exciting. The thing I want to talk about a little bit, so Miss Bree, the real estate market, 2023, we're talking about saving, we're talking about credit, a little more. We have a gentleman named Mr. Gerald Johnson that we talk with about credit, Mr. Whitney, Morgan, and so they'll 2 other experts that'll join us on the shows. But before we even get there, no, that's not true. You need to work on that if you want, the house and all those things you want. But how's the market? Because everyone's kind of scared to buy, which means if I don't have a goal to buy anything, I may not be focused on saving my credit anyway.
Yes, no, that's absolutely the conversation that I run into with folks quite often. The biggest part that the first statement that I always lead with is real estate will always be sold. It will always be bought, no matter what the market is doing. Now, when it comes down to what this market is doing currently, yes, we do have higher interest rates. But if you look over the past 10 to 20 years, the the trends, what we've experienced in the past 2 or 3 years has not been something that we've normally been in whenever it comes to real estate. The average interest rate, kind of quoting, has always been around a 5 or 7%. So where we are sitting right now is technically what we've, been in the past 20-year span of time if you're looking at those numbers. Now, in addition to that, what we are struggling with is inventory, and that's a nationwide kind of thing. So, of course,
What does that mean?
inventory. So we're going in the supply and demand kind of direction of things. There's not enough supply out there, but so that increases the demand depending on the market and other extra things that I don't want to talk about right now because then I'll take up the rest of the conversation. So that's kind of the main thing that we're struggling with right now. So it's not necessarily the conversation of interest rates because that's what, media can make sense of and kind of create all of this uncertainty. It's more of what is ultimately the goal for you and your family. You're not going to allow an outside force to decide on what you're going to do when it comes to you and your family. Rental rates are still going up, so now it's time to go ahead and invest in something that is of your own. So when I say what the market is doing, whatever you want it to do.
Yes, because there are products out there, like we're talking about the FHA, different things we're talking about that, we can still get in and buy some things, and whether it's FHA, conventional loans, those are things that we'll talk a little bit more about, with our different shows, because things are out there for us to still have. 'Cause the homes are still there. It's what are we going to do to get them? How much do we have to save to make it happen? Do we want it perfect, or can we do some rehab? And there's some rehab loans you've been telling me about as well.
Like the 203K.
Right. Tell about that a little bit, please. Just a little bit.
So just briefly, the 203K is a way in which you can get into a property that does need some rehab work. And what the lender will do is they'll give you money towards the purchase of the property as well as the money towards doing the rehab. And then it all then becomes part of your mortgage. So you're just paying on the house like normal, but you get it up to your own, what the market is requiring, like making sure that there's an operable kitchen and flooring and all that stuff. So
It's interesting because, okay, so we're going to do, please, if you want to give a phone number, if people want to talk to you offline about a home or 203-1K, tell what.
absolutely. Anytime you have any questions, whether it is something that you're ready to do right now or 5 years down the line, you can always reach me at 816-206-3921, or you can go to all the socials that'll be on social media for the show.
Yes, and Miss Heaven, our marketing person, she's going to make sure all that stuff is there. She and Miss Dara. Mr. Alfred, how they talk to you about the business you do? And you can even tell a little bit more about it if you want to. How can you help people with one of those 6 transactions?
Right. So the biggest one for me is entrepreneurship. And so when somebody's looking to get started with the business, there's several things that you want to consider about, like the structure of the entity. Do you want to do a corporation? Do you want to do a partnership? Do you want to do a limited liability company? Do I need a bank account? Do I need an EIN number? Do I need an EIN number to get a bank account? All these different things, to form the entity, where do I go? To the Secretary of State website, all those kind of things. And I've wanted to be an entrepreneur for a long time. I'm really interested in entrepreneurship. And so I actually, enjoy helping people to kind of take that first step. To be able to work for themselves, and I like the autonomy and the freedom that it involves, and also the ability to get paid for your performance. The harder you work and the smarter you work, the more you get paid. So I like it for myself, and I also enjoy helping others to be able to take that step as well.
Absolutely. No, good stuff. And so, if they needed to call you, how do they reach you?
Right. You can reach me at 816-429-1950. And you can also just look me up on the web, www.jordanlawkc.com, www.jordanlawkc.com.
You think he likes radio, y'all? To me, he's good. And again, Miss Heaven, she'll have we'll have that on our site as well on YouTube. That they'll send you the QR code to take that survey, and you'll see all information there. And Mr. Ross, I know it's coming up soon, meeting our time, so I want to make sure before I mention a couple other pieces that. How do they reach you? You know, like you said, once they kind of figure out where they're going, they've looked at a budget and they're like, okay, I think I have a couple of dollars to spend, or maybe I don't. They want to talk to you about it. How do they reach you?
Yeah, appreciate it. So my contact information is 816-272-6219. Once again, 816-272-6219. Or you can get me at my email address, which is Brian, BRIAN, Ross, ROSS, at edwardjones.com. And of course, you can find me on LinkedIn, or you can find me on Facebook if you do have any questions. And what I will say, at least what's been kind of top of mind for me, I'll just put another piece out there is, for those who are looking to retire, I know with the last few years, a lot of those have decided to, hey, maybe make a shift as far as their work life and retire maybe sooner, or trying to contemplate retirement. I'm more than happy to have a conversation. And then the most recent thing is that there's a new Secure Act 2.0 that just got approved December 29th, 30th, around there, kind of last part of the year. So for those business owners out there who are, looking to try to save money or taxes or put money away, there's some tax credits out there that allow you to have a lot of those startup costs completely paid by the IRS or paid by the government. So for those, once again, who want to save, who are business owners, once again, there's some tax credits out there you can take advantage of this year.
Amen. So we're going to make sure that Mr. Alfred and Mr. Brian come back soon to tell us about those together, because that will begin to have business owners, individuals who are in business, and they've had some success in making things happen for them. And they will maybe touch on one of those 6 transactions. Maybe they bought a house that they used then to, kind of fund their business, or maybe they work with the SBA and starting a business to, get an SBA loan, and they'll tell you why the attorney was important, and insurance. And we're going to make sure that we're just trying to give you weekly examples of individuals either that we've helped or that through other experts have helped them to make it happen. Because this is a year to make it happen, you guys. I mean, that's it's really important. Again, my big piece is I do a lot of real estate development from beginning to end, and help a lot with contracts. But I'm really big with that estate planning piece, helping people to make sure that they have all of their, not just end of life documents, not just wills and stuff, but what about a current trust and making sure you have power of attorneys. In my family, that's become so important, even more so than I, can't even think about. And so I know for other people too, because I'm getting older, I have parents who are older, and things happen to where we're in that generation. All this stuff is important. That's right. So if you have legal questions in that realm specifically, you may reach me at 816-612-1083, and that will also be Miss Paris. Hi, Miss Paris. Miss Heaven, Miss Dara. She's actually learning to be our engineer, you guys. And so we're pretty excited about her doing that with Mr. Walker. We thank him a lot for that. Now we won't leave without letting Mr. Walker tell you again about KUAW, because that's really important, you guys. We appreciate him letting us be here and do our show.
Absolutely.
Once again, we'd like to thank, oh man, I tell you, I can't hardly talk, but we'd like to thank everybody that has joined us this evening. And we want you to continue to listen to this show and other shows that are on KUAW Radio. We broadcast 24 hours a day. So when we're not live, you can pick us up on the audio side. We also play smooth jazz, some blues, and a lot of old school music. So check out KUAW.org and listen to us 24 hours. You can pick us up in your car if you got that Bluetooth speaker and drive from here to California and never miss a beat. Thank you.
And driving weather's coming up, so I know we're about to end out. So I want to just first thank, our guest in the studio for helping us to launch today. And please, I hope that you'll come back. of course, for your expert advice, but also sometimes just to come back because I'll need people to banter with me. She says, "Who's gonna be bantering with you?" So I'm like, yeah, well, you all. I want you all to come and talk, and we'll need you to make sure that you're letting us know some of the questions that are important to you. And we focus heavily around those 6 transactions, and so we'll be putting up different descriptors of the transactions, what they are, and some of the subtopics under them, so you can hear their email, talk to us, and say, y'all should talk about this next week. And we're going to be doing that. Just like Susie Orman and everybody else, we're going to be making sure that we are really helping to dig deep into those questions that matter about your money and your business. And so I want to make sure we're doing that. Mr. Ross, thank you. Any final comments from our 3 people?
No.
I talk all day long.
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, I appreciate the opportunity, and then for those who are listening, like I say, let this be the year that you start. Not that I wish I had, but the year that you start. So,
all right, Miss Bree.
Thank you for having me again. I really enjoyed this experience, and I will definitely be coming back.
Yes, and we'll be seeing her. Remember, on Fridays, we're going to be doing that Fun Fridays. This Friday's going to be more of a Zoom type of conversation, basically based on all of you all's talking to us. So we're going to come back. We're going to listen to all the comments and just kind of see what everyone said. And then she and Miss Tanaya are going to be leading us in this Fun Friday via Zoom, and we can have lunch together or dinner. Miss Heaven, she'll be emailing y'all. She'll tell you. Mr. Alfred.
I'll just say it was a pleasure being here and excited about this essential information going out to the community. I love it.
Amen. Amen. Thank you all. Please look forward to seeing you soon. We're going to do some more smart money news and business reviews. Talk to you soon. Bye. Good night.